there's just an ache in you fellas, isn't there?
I'm thinking someone needs to put you down, dog. What do you think?
I'm thinking we'll rise again.
Every man there, go back inside or we will blow a new crater in this little moon.
Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 Minutes More or Less Ship Review, right behind me, the Drake Corsair. Let's go ahead and take a look. Another review. Thank you, CERITHOmega, Archangel 8, as well as What124 for joining me on today's review of the Drake Corsair. Now, I do have to let you know, I've reviewed this ship a few times in the past, and yes, there has been some changes since the last time I reviewed it, from the ship's speed, to its handling, to its armor, its engineering, everything like that. There's quite a few changes, so I'm going to go ahead and break down what has changed and why this ship might not be as good as it used to be. Now, let's go ahead and talk about that. This ship is $250 on the Pledge Store, or if you buy it in-game, it's $6,224,400 UEC over at another store on Loreville. Pretty decent price, huh? For what it can do. It can carry cargo, it can definitely dish out some firepower, but how well can it do it? It does have a 17-minute claim time, or if you're to expedite it, it's 5 minutes and 40 seconds. It's, I wouldn't say the greatest claim time, especially if you're not expediting, but if you're expediting, 5.5 minutes isn't completely terrible, gives you enough time to go to the restroom and whatnot, and then you come back and you go ahead and get back on your way. Now, the pilot does have control over quite a bit of firepower, giving them 7,831 burst pilot damage per second, which is truly phenomenal because you do have 4 stock size 4 M6A laser cannons and 2 size 5 M7A laser cannons on this ship, which means that you are dishing out firepower, just dishing it out. Now, there is a remote turret on the top of the ship which has 2 size 2 CF227 Badgers, but you can't operate those as the pilot. Only the co-pilot can operate those, which means that they would have to occupy that seat to use it, and it's kind of too bad. Now, if you're looking at the rest of the weapons, you do have 1,312 turret burst damage per second due to the 4 size 2 CF227 Badgers. I have to say, those guns are really small, and I'm not sure if those turrets are really truly helpful unless you were just to outfit them with ballistics, maybe GT215s or something, and allow you to get out there and output some good ballistic damage, hopefully disabling a component of a ship that's circling you. Now, you also have 8 size 3 Arrestor 3 missiles, which are cross-section, and I always recommend getting rid of those. Get some like Thunderbolts or something. Get something with electromagnetic, which will help you out there in the verse. Now, talking about defensively, because the firepower is there, it's got a phenomenal amount of firepower. Your forward-facing firepower is just extreme, right? Whatever you hit, it's going to be a very dangerous situation for them. But what about if you start taking damage? Well, you do have quite a bit of shield, sitting at 62,500 shield. Now, that 62,500 shield, you would be sitting here going, wow, that's a lot. But then if you start breaking it down and looking at comparisons, which I'll have a comparison here in just a moment of everything, you're kind of starting to see that it it maybe isn't the greatest possible. But with that, the shield does have an 8.8% physical resistance and an 82% distortion resistance. And it is a quadrant shield, but it's only one shield generator. So once that shield generator is damaged and destroyed, you're pretty much out of luck there. Now, taking a look at the ship's armor, it only has 9,000 HP of armor, which is actually kind of crazy to me, given the size of this ship, given the role of this ship, and given the fact that you'd think Drake, out of anything with these panels and everything, would do what they can to try to at least protect a little bit of it, but obviously not. You have minus 15% physical damage with that armor, plus 30% energy damage to that armor. So overall, armor, not great. It's probably some of the worst. I mean, the Fortune has more armor than this ship, and that ship is an industrial salvage ship, which is, again, crazy. This ship is meant to be an exploration ship, and I say that with quotation marks, because the only thing you're exploring with the ship is the inside of someone else's cargo hold, or just taking the cargo straight from them without them even ever making it to their ship. So with that, I think it's a little bit low, and I really wish they would probably double that, because it's just not good. This ship loses its components quite fast once it starts taking a lot of damage. And then on top of that, you have 91,000 ship HP, which hasn't changed since, a long while ago, and once I reviewed it, but the armor and the shield are just a little bit iffy. The shield went up a little bit. The armor doesn't look pretty, but again, shield strength isn't as big of a thing now when you have ballistics that are just penetrating through, losing a little bit of their damage, and then focusing on that armor just to get the components down, right? Now, you do have a top SCM speed of 190 with a 390 forward boost, a 205 backwards boost, and a top nav speed of 1025. Now, it did go down in overall speed from my last review. It actually went from 200 to 190, which is quite surprising, and its overall speed just isn't that pretty. Now, it is over 1,000 in nav, which is fine. Again, this isn't a combat ship. Technically, it's not supposed to go out there and, brawl with capitals or anything like that, but it does have a lot of forward-facing firepower, allowing you to actually do a massive amount of damage to whatever is in front of you. Now, you do have a really bad pitch yaw roll, sitting at 26, 20, 44, boosted 31, 24, 53. I'm going to be honest with you, that actually went down as well, and it's not good. This ship is very floaty, it moves around very heavily, and with that forward-facing firepower, there's not much helping you. If a ship gets to your side or to your rear, you're pretty much just dead. So with that, you have to really consider where you're fighting, who you're fighting, and to keep them always in front of you. Because if you can keep them in front of you, those weapons will just destroy them. They'll have no chance, right? Now, you do have 48 flares and 5 decoys, as well as 116 SCU of hydrogen fuel and 5.2 SCU of quantum fuel, which is actually really good. I'd have to say that's probably the only thing that's actually phenomenal about this thing being an exploration ship is its big fuel tank, allowing it to go a bit more of the distance before needing to refuel out there in the verse. But with the classification of expedition or exploration, this thing doesn't have too much going for it. It doesn't have a med bay. It doesn't have anything to help repair any sort of component damage. There's nothing really keeping this thing surviving in long distance travels, exploring systems of the unknown or trying to find other things or other planets. I'd have to say this is more of an inner system explorer, where you're exploring planets that have already been found, but you're looking around these planets that haven't been mapped out yet, and you're exploring in that matter, or you're just exploring, again, other people's cargo holds and taking what doesn't belong to you. Now, you do have a total of 72 SCU that you can fit on the cargo grid, so let's talk about that really quick. Let's go ahead and take a look at this ship here in the first person. I'm going to show you this, and then we'll jump into some fighting scenes. Going to take this thing into the arena commander and just see how she does. Now, really quick on screen, as you can see, this is the comparison compared to a few options that I put out there, just because I did want to see what was kind of in its general area, and there are quite a few ships in its price range, but when you come down to the role it's supposed to take and everything, it's kind of slims it down a little bit. So here are a couple options I put on the field just to kind of show you what other people might be looking at. Now, past that, let's take a look at the front of this ship. Now, there are a couple access points to this ship. You got one on the side over here, which is an elevator that goes from the ground to the midship to the top of the ship, which is pretty cool. You can go ahead and open it up via this button here, which is nice. And then if you go to the back of the ship, this is going to be your main entry point of the ship. So if you head on right over here, you go ahead and take up any vehicle you want. It will not fit a Storm, Ballista, or Tonk chassis, but it will fit pretty much anything else outside of that. So you go ahead and just drive it right on up, and you're in the cargo hold. Now, the cargo hold is where you're going to find a lot of your components, including your big old shield generator here on the wall, and then behind you got a cooler as well as a power plant sitting here, allowing you to pretty much take care of everything in one room. But it also means the enemy is able to go ahead and, just shoot one area and pretty much take everything out that is important to you. Now, if you go ahead and go through the back door, don't forget about your fire extinguisher. But if you go through that back door, you will be presented with with the main engineering area with your engineering terminal and a fuse panel, which you did have a fuse panel back here as well on that wall. And then you have a couple more components. You got a battery sitting here, you got a power plant, you got a cooler, and you got another battery, and of course you got more stuff over here, including your jump drive and hydrogen fuel tank and your quantum fuel tank. It's pretty cool to see these ones actually kind of physicalized. You don't see them often with labeling on a lot of other ships. Now, if you make your way through this first door here, you do have a couple massive weapon racks for your support weapons like railguns, boom tubes, stuff like that. And then you have a few more weapon racks over here for multiple rifles, multiple handguns, or multi-tool selections, as well as a couple armor lockers. You go ahead and open those up, and that's pretty nice. And then you do have an EVA access point right on over here. You go ahead and open this, and then open that. And it's a pretty nice EVA access point. Sadly, pretty much most ships can't use these in the terms of like docking with the station yet. Someday we'll get that, hopefully, or ship-to-ship docking. We just don't have it yet. Now, that is an access point, though. If you are in space and you want to get in or out of your vehicle, you can definitely go via that. Now, if you go over here to your engineering terminal, you can see it's a nice little presentation, nice little terminal here. You can go ahead and look around, take a look at your ship, and you can see exactly how the rooms are laid out and everything. So we'll go ahead and walk through that right now. First of all, right here is your kitchen and living area. Lighting in Drake ships is almost just as bad as some Crusader ships, I have to say. Even though I have my light settings a little differently, make sure you check out that video because it'll show you just how to amplify your colors and everything without any performance impact. But this is your kitchen, your living area. You have a nice looking area right here. You can go ahead and serve yourself some food, get yourself some drink, and then of course, while everybody's eating, you're gonna have someone back here just taking a load off, using the restroom with the leaky shower. So while you're sitting there using it, you're just getting dripped all over. So bring that on out, and it's just fantastic. And you have a nice little sink area, so it looks pretty good. But over here, fire extinguisher, you have multiple more areas that you can explore. Each one of these are a room for your crew. So you got 3 rooms, 1, 2, and 3. They all are pretty much set up completely alike. So you got a nice little area to set up your armor. Go ahead and close that up. And then right underneath the bed, you have your storage for each room and each individual crew member with 1,350 micro SCU, which is quite a bit, honestly. So then we'll move over here. It's actually 1,350, but the micro SCU is there, and it is pretty nice. So you got another bedroom here. Like I said, it's replicated, and another bedroom back here, looking pretty good. And then this is that elevator that goes to the ground as well as to the roof. Crew's looking good. They're all, you know, relaxing after the long review that we've had today. Kind of some frustrations with the server. And then you have one of your turret access points here, which is a manned turret there, and as well as there with those CF-227 Badgers. Again, they're not going to do too much in the realm of actually damaging enemy ships unless you give them some different weapons to help out. Now you do have a fire extinguisher in here. Oh, sorry. Fire extinguisher, as well as another fuse panel over here and another room. You're going to be wondering, what is this room? Well, this is where the captain sits, right? Or the pilot of the ship. Go ahead and open the storage. And again, 1,350,000 micro SCU. Pretty nice. Another little armor, or armor. Yeah, armor. Yeah, you can put your armor, well, not yet, but one day. And then if you move past that over here, you do have the pilot seat as well as the co-pilot seat. I do have to say, the co-pilot seat will disable some of your weapons for the pilot if someone occupies that seat, which means that you don't want somebody occupying that seat. So you're already going to lose that top turret on the top of your ship when nobody's occupying it. So -2 of those size 2s from the equation, and don't ever have anybody occupy that, because then it takes away some firepower from the pilot, because it removes 2 of your wing guns from you as well as the pilot, which is really weird, really strange. And then you enter the Millennium Falcon cockpit here with struts everywhere, or sorry, RSI, or I don't even know what I'm looking at anymore, but there are struts all over the place. And then of course you have an MFD on the ground, which doesn't seem to be operating anymore. You have a nice little fan over here, which looks pretty good. The pilot seat is a pretty decent little thing. And then of course you can't forget about the co-pilot having a nice nifty look at that beautiful ITG flask over here, just sitting there ready to go, because the co-pilot is an alcoholic and you have to be very careful about letting him sit anywhere with guns. Now if we go ahead and get into that pilot seat really quick, you do have quite a few MFDs. The view isn't half bad even with all these struts here. You got quite the forward facing view. Off to your right and left it gets a little bit more occupied and a little bit more in the way. I do have to say is that your power systems on this ship stock are absolutely disgusting, and not in a good way. Not in a good way at all. Just to get full power to the weapons, so we can even use all the weapons, we have to occupy every one of these spots, taking away from your engines, taking away from your shields, taking away from your coolers. It's not a pretty sight, so it's definitely good if you were to go out there and maybe change that. Change your power system, get rid of all these laser weapons, change it to ballistics. Help your ship out by not taking away so much power as much as you can, because it definitely needs that. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and fight a little bit in the Arena Commander, just to kind of show you what this ship can and can't do. Maybe 2 or 3 battles, and then I'll give you my score. A couple things I want to talk to you about in regards to fighting with this ship. It's probably best you don't ever fight anything smaller than you, because if you do, there's a very good chance they're going to kill you. Whether they just stay at a distance and just shoot you from there, or if they just get really close up and circle you, there is not many things you can do to fight that if your stock and your weapon speed is really slow. Having certain cannons or certain repeaters, there are certain round speeds that are just terrible and they won't do anything to assist you. So the further they are, the harder they are to hit. The closer they are, the harder it is for you to maneuver. With that in mind, you should never win a fight against a Hornet, an Arrow, a Gladius, any sort of light fighter, any sort of medium fighter, and sometimes even against heavy fighters. Heavy fighters are a little bit different right now because they maneuver not so great either, but even they should be able to beat you depending on really how talented you are at using your Corsair. Now, I do have to let you know, of course, it's not supposed to be out there fighting these things, right? This is a ship, and I will say it's a ship meant more for PvE than it is ever going to be for PvP. Now, if you're asking yourself, well, Evenlease, what can it do in PvE? I'm going to tell you, it can do everything you want it to do. You can go out there and attack pretty much any size ship with this thing. I'd probably stay away from the Polarises or, the Idrises or anything extremely huge that you have to fight against. If you're running anything with ballistics, because you'll run out of ammo well before you do anything good enough to actually destroy it. But if you're running laser weapons and you stay at a distance and you kind of practice that and you have people on board, you can definitely withstand a fight in many different ways. Can you solo with this ship? Absolutely, but if you get attacked by a player, you have to be very wary about what your limitations are. So with that, my score, and it has lowered since the last time I reviewed it because its speed's got worse, its maneuverability has gotten worse, the armor's not so great, it's a 71 out of 100. Thank you guys for watching, I really hope you enjoyed. Please let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the Corsair after the engineering update, and of course, I appreciate every single one of you for being here. You guys are truly amazing. I appreciate you watching my new series, Zero to Hero. It is pretty awesome. Make sure you check it out, especially if you're a veteran player or even a new player. It's just fun. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. And of course, I'll see you all in the next one. If you're building a new PC, go through longshipindustries.com, a veteran-owned mom-and-pop business that takes pride in every single build. He built my personal rig, which you can actually see featured on the website. The care, warranty, and customer support are top tier. Trust Longship Industries for your next build.